live in 3, 2, go.
Grand day, everyone. Grand now, as I like to say most recently, the grand now. Welcome to the Daily Huddle. I am Chase Steele Gray, your host for today, and I'm really excited because we have a great guest with us today, and it's going to be an amazing topic. I hope you can stay around for it. But before we do, of course, as we always do, I start out with a funny joke just to get everything loosened up a little bit. And the joke today is, what did one doctor say to the other doctor who was just with a patient that swallowed a quarter? Anyone know? What happened with that patient with the quarter? And the nurse says, well, we're waiting. No change yet. Roll that tape.
Oh boy.
What can I say? What can I say? Yes, indeed. Always there with a joke that will mess your mind up a little bit. Why not? Why not? Welcome, everyone. Once again, I'm Chase Steele Gray, your host for today. We have an incredible topic today, and I'm going to bring in my special guest shortly. But before we do that, I want to talk to a couple of people, see who we have here. Farid, I think it's you today. You're the man. You're right there, front and center.
Okay.
How are you today?
Oh, I am doing good. I'm doing really good.
Excellent. I like that. Simple, easy. Tara, where are you? And who will you hug today?
Oh, good morning. I
Morning.
am right here, exactly where I want to be and nowhere else. And today I will hug the best hugger of all, my husband.
Oh, I like that. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us, Tara Heaton. I love Tara Heaton. Such a great energy. Thank you so much for that. So, I don't know if you've realized this about me, but I love to bring on my favorite people, my people that are at the level of just high consciousness. And this woman definitely is that today. You saw our topic, how staying curious keeps us healthy, how trauma lives in the body. Jeri Silverman, to me, she's one of my favorite people on the earth. I tell her that, so I'm not just saying that for the call. And I speak to people. If I say that to you, I mean it. And I met her many years ago. I know her as a musician, as an actor, as a dancer, as an Alexander technique and somatic practitioner. All these things that she does that makes her the beautiful person that she is. And she is coming to us from South Africa, ending her day as we are starting our day, which is so exciting to me. And I just want to get right into it. Please welcome to the Daily Huddle, Jeri Silverman. Love it. Let's give it up. Jeri, please, if you would, just give us a little unpacking of these two topics, because I think they're great topics. I think we would be here for an hour, but I want to know from you, how do you unpack this, especially about how staying curious keeps us healthy, which I totally agree with. I practice it all the time.
Yeah, I feel like you are sort of the quintessential curious kitten.
I am.
But yeah, I mean, yesterday you said to me, you sprang it on me like, come up with some
Right.
questions. And I was like, trauma.
Yeah, I want to make sure.
But these were actually the first two things that kind of came to mind. And then I was like, oh gosh, like how do I actually piece these together? Mm-hmm. But I guess to say, like, curiosity for me is something that is really important in life and in and in trauma work, or in any kind of work that we're trying to move through something. Because curiosity to me has an invitational spirit that often we lose when we have, experienced something, an event that feels traumatic, on any level. We've all experienced or felt like our childhood were traumatic, that basically can lead us to cut off certain parts of ourselves, our personalities, certain parts of our bodies. And that can show up, it can show up physically in a sensation or a lack of sensation, or in our confidence, or any area of our lives. And so for me, curiosity is this key in staying healthy. And today, actually, what came to mind is this, like, all these C words around curiosity. So what curiosity brings us is compassion. And I'm talking kind of like from the level of ourselves and then out, compassion. It makes us less critical. If we can be curious about a sensation or something that feels difficult, if we can be curious about it instead of judgmental, then we have more chance of flowing and learning instead of staying stuck, which to me is kind of what being in a traumatized state or on any kind of level can bring us, can make us stuck. And there were a few more C words. I actually wrote it down. Let's see.
It's great. I love it.
Calm as well. So if you're trying to solve a problem or your own healing crisis kind of thing, if we respond straight away as like, oh, I don't want that, and trying to push that away, we're immediately in a reactive state in our nervous system, in our body. So reminding ourselves to be curious can just turn the dial down, turn the volume down a little bit. And then lastly, all of these things can lead us to being creative.
So good.
Because we don't know, like, we might think we know what it is that we need to heal or to move through a problem. But if we're sort of stuck on what we think we know, we're not really in a creative, receptive place.
Right. I totally agree with you. And I know we've had these similar conversations in the past about our creativity. When you ask me, how do I get to that place, of creativity, so on and so forth. Great answer, by the way. I love the critical, less critical. That really hit home, because there's a lot of criticism right now in the world, by and large. I wanted to somehow have you describe either the lore to Alexander technique versus the somatic practitioner, and how those things kind of either helped you with your trauma or kind of opened up things for you, because those are two serious things, right, that you pick to delve into. So if you could just give like a short definition of the Alexander technique versus the somatic practitioner, and how that kind of interweaves into your life.
Sure. And was the word you used allure?
Did I say lure? Lure or allure? Lure. It lures you in. Yes.
Oh,
I'm
you in.
luring you
Okay,
in. Come to me, Silverada.
I got you, which is also alluring if something draws you in.
Correct.
Interesting. Yeah. So, I mean, I think you might know my own journey with Alexander technique was through playing music and being a vocalist, and I had a lot of tension, and so I was playing and singing, but constantly with a lot of tension, and leaving the stage feeling exhausted and sore and in pain, and just not filled up with energy. And Alexander technique was the first thing that I found that started helping me to rehabilitate what it was that I was doing with my body, playing guitar on a consistent basis. And that I was continuously doing something that was causing, excessive amounts of tension and repetitive tension. And in essence, that's kind of, I guess, a good summary of how the Alexander technique works and can help. It's Alexander, this FM Alexander, discovered how we can use ourselves with more efficiency and hence ease. And so that doesn't mean, you know, we want to eradicate our bodies of tension. I mean, as if we could, our bodies and our mind.
Right.
We can't, and it's not possible. We need a certain amount of tension. So I guess the question is, what the technique works on is like learning for myself and for my students and each person who does it is what are the things that are getting in the way of my efficient functioning as a human being, and then what are the things that I can start to do and implement in order to help myself. Because I was seeing like massage therapists and acupuncturists and all these people, and you know, they all helped temporarily, but none of them could tell me what I was doing wrong. All they could do was, you know, give me a little adjustment or a little bit of ease to keep moving on.
Right.
So this technique was that for me. And then a lot of my colleagues were getting into the somatic experiencing work, which is sort of, I think, you know, becoming really popular, especially in the United States. Dr. Peter Levine is the sort of the founder, and he created this way of working and healing trauma through studying animals and noticing that how when animals have a fight or a traumatic event, they're able to literally shake it off, you know, whereas with humans, we tend to stay stuck, and like our whole lives we're can be living through PTSD or the sense of trauma that we can't let go. And yeah, so these two things work really nicely together. They're both somatic practices, which means working with the body and what we're feeling in the body.
Yeah, I think it's a powerful, and I just want to take a moment to just compliment you, because I've known you for this large span of time. And when I met you, you and I were at the food co-op, and this light came out of you. I was like, who is this person? And we became friends, and you were just not married then, just with someone. And now you're like still living back at home, married, a child. Like this arc of life experience has happened. And I just wanted to congratulate you for taking these things and putting them into your life and kind of creating the person that you are. Also got the joy to meet your parents that one time when we had food. And you know how you meet somebody's parents?
Yes. My mother sent love.
She said hello, tell her I said hi. I haven't seen her forever. You know, you meet someone's parents and it just looks perfect. Like, that's your dad, that's your mom. Totally can see it. I remember it. So I just wanted to compliment you and tell your parents that I said hello, just for creating a beautiful human being. Just so great. I'm so happy to have you here. Also, because you and I are both musicians, tell me how being a musician with those two things we just discussed has given you more of a kind of an opening. And I know you said you haven't been playing in a while, but you have a child now. It's a little bit different, right? I think life changes just a little bit, right?
Just a little bit.
That musical side, do you still have a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, do you still keep a compartment for it? Are you writing lyrics? Are you bringing things into your world? Or is it kind of like, I'm going to come back to you in a second. I got to look at this right now. And how does that work in with everything?
Yeah, it's a little bit more like that. Like, you're over there and I'm getting ready to pick it up and to write. But also what I've learned through all this work, especially Alexander technique in particular, is sometimes you need to put something away and like stop cold turkey. At least that's been my experience. So I used to push through everything. Like if I had an injury, you know, it's like running a race. You're like, no,
right.
I'm not going to stop and like take care. I'm just going to keep going and I'm going to keep running no matter what. And I used to be a lot like that, especially with music. And I felt, you know, there was this thing to get to. And the Alexander technique actually taught me how to like step back and wait. And sometimes that meant putting down my guitar for like months and having to relearn how to play. But sometimes that was the only way to come back from with a fresh perspective and an ability to really notice my habits, like as I came back to it. Because when you're so in it and you're playing every day, it's hard to parse, to get those things apart.
Right.
And sometimes that's what we need. And in the same way, like when we've been through a difficult time in our lives, sometimes it can all feel like it's together, and then it literally can show up in our body in the word is coming condensation, but actually
Right.
condensed.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
think-
and so we have to take the time to like pull apart the things, to look at them so that we can then reintegrate. We can't just integrate when it's all just a mush. One of my teachers calls it like, alphabet soup, when the soup is, when it's
Mushy
too
and
veggies and you can't distinguish
right.
the veggies or the letters of the alphabet.
How about that?
And yeah, I really like that image.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't think about it that way. Do you have if you could, if possible, could you give us one or two short exercises or little kind of nuggets from the Alexander technique that a common person that has nothing to do with Alexander technique may be pulled into that, or can have like a little bit of a springboard into it, like anything that we can practice within our own self?
Yeah, sure. I mean, is there anything around like, yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking of something that's actually more from the somatic side of things. I mean, is there anything specific that you would like to get out of this exercise?
Let's concentrate on what everyone, I believe, is dealing with at one point or another. And I think I had seen it in one of your videos months back, is this idea of tensing the body, like a detensing exercise where you're not like, all the time. And I know there's a lot of people that walk around like that, like just tense in their life. You'd look at them and you're like, oh my God, like relax. Oh my God, like that kind of thing. So something that we can do with ourselves, no matter where we are, that maybe alleviate some of that tension and that stiffness,
Okay, cool. Yeah. So let's try something. Let's all, just as you're sitting, if you can notice, and feel free if there's like a different part of your body that you want to do this with, that you feel cold, then do that.
Right.
I'm going to focus like over here, because this is where it's feeling tense. So what we're going to do is we're going to actively, so first, just notice what is happening in that part of the body. So I'm going to notice my shoulders and just being curious, not trying to change it. And then we're going to consciously turn the dial up about 20% on that tension. So kind of turning it up. I feel like I'm bracing my hands, my palms against my thighs, and just turning it up. And then slowly releasing that.
It's that subtle thing, man.
It's that subtle. And now again, noticing, is there a bit more space in my chest? Or am I noticing a bit more tension that I didn't know was there? And then a nice thing is just to look around your space. So with your eyes, just to bring yourself back into the container of your space, and out of the container of the Zoom room. Yeah, and then just notice as you go from seeing your space, and notice how slowly, as you make that transition to the computer, just notice if anything shifts, or if you can keep that space awareness of the room as you bring yourself back to the screen.
See, what I get from that with you, because I know you, so it's different because I have a connection with you, is that I feel like the Alexander technique mixed with the somatic practices, it gives you like a whole nother level of awareness Like you as a person, especially having a child now, and children are so good at showing us how to just be in the moment, right? The child is like, I want this, they grab it. I want that, they grab it. I want to go here, they go. They don't think about that. They don't think like, we're like, oh, I'm not gonna have that soda. That could be bad for me. The child just takes it. So you being this practitioner, do you feel like, especially the Alexander technique, because I think when you were in America, you were in your beginning stages of that. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. And actually, you're the person responsible for me getting the book, the Alexander technique, because I was like, oh, I got to get this. This is really cool. But now, from then until now, is there like a massive difference in how you use your body and how you are present in the world? Are you like, it's completely different? Or yes?
Yeah, I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It feels completely different to me. Yeah, I mean, yeah, even taking space now to let myself think and not have to
I saw that. Yeah.
have the answer is like a revelatory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, there was often that sense of there isn't space, there isn't time, there's never enough, there's always pressure. And I'm not saying I don't go through that, because having a child will bring up any of those,
Right.
any of that stuff. But to be able to stop and to slow down has been really profound, and it's really helped me speak my voice, say what I want to say. I really struggled with that, with articulation. I would actually lose my voice all the time. I would lose my voice in performance, but I would also lose my voice in conversation, because there was something I was doing on some level that was like, or I was so tense in the way my voice was coming out, and it was so frustrating. I would literally lose my voice, and that doesn't happen really anymore. So that's been a really cool thing.
It's powerful. I like what you said about space, and I think everyone can learn from that. We are both vocalists, and that space is so important. Just when I have to just really admit something. When I asked you the question, and I looked at you, a part of my brain was like, "Why is she not talking? Why is she not talking?" Right? And that's that thing that happens in your head, that lizard brain thing. Like, Jeri, I just asked you a question. What are you doing?
Like, fill the space.
Right,
and
right.
That's what I used to do in my lyrics as well. I was so obsessed. I love lyrics and I love writing, but it was so like I had to fill it all. And what I've been learning through the undoing is that, the space between the notes.
Right.
That's what we're getting at.
Absolutely amazing. It's so great. And like you said, it's revelatory because you hear it and you feel it. I'm not seeing any hands, but if anyone has any questions, now I see it. Ronald,
Hey
how are you,
guys,
sir? What you got?
very good, very good. I've been listening to it. It's amazing. I got a bunch of questions.
I'm sure.
First, I'm thinking, okay, is that a Alexander practice? Is it very close to yoga, or is it yoga? It seems like it may not be, but I think I'll let you guys elaborate on that. I'm thinking it's very much related to artists, which I am. And then I'm also thinking about that. I want to connect with you guys. I think you're both in New York, right? I mean, Chase, you're in New York.
I'm in New York. She's in South Africa.
I'm in Cape Town, South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So we can connect over Zoom.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm thinking of I guess connecting you, Chase, with my nephew, who's going to a Europe tour next month.
Excellent.
And he's also a musician. He's a guitar player.
Excellent.
So I'm thinking about all that. Okay, I need to really connect. So start with the first one. Is Alexander practice a yoga technique, or is it more to musician, or is it something that musicians should adopt?
So no, to me, it's not like yoga. It might have some principles of yoga. To me, Alexander technique is a baseline technique that you apply to your life. So for me, when I do yoga, I apply my awareness, because Alexander technique is a learning and a honing of an awareness and a way of using ourselves. So I take that into when I'm doing yoga, and I take it into if I'm playing music, or if I'm at a meeting and I'm feeling tense. And Alexander technique is taught at music schools and at acting schools, particularly in the United States and Europe, for that very reason, that it helps us with our use, and it helps us find maybe more of a neutral stance. So we're not bringing our habits into everything that we're doing, so that our habits aren't overriding us.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
It's deep.
Cool.
It's really deep.
It does.
And just the other thing to note is that the technique is not a set of exercises like yoga is. Yoga is a set of exercises to kind of achieve, prepare us for meditation, whereas this is particularly not a set of exercises, because then we kind of go about it like it's a set of exercises and things to accomplish, where it's actually learning a new way of being and unbeing.
Right.
Being
Right.
and unbeing. Wow, I love that unbeing part.
So is it being taught in locally? Like, how could I get information about you being in South Africa, would you be teaching people in the US online, or is it?
So there are I do teach online. Alexander technique does also have a hands-on component. So during COVID, everyone's kind of teaching online now, but the hands-on work is very beautiful part of the work, and there are lots of teachers in New York, and we can get you some information for specific teachers if you'd like to do in-person lessons.
Excellent. There's information, I believe, on the Facebook, right? We have links and stuff to you. How to get in touch with people.
I certainly would like to connect my nephew with you guys. I mean, being as a musician, you guys probably have really get a lot out of the Alexander technique, and I'm thinking that it may be useful for him. He's an amazing guy that's going on a tour with Thurston Moore. I don't know if you're familiar with this artist in Florida.
Thurston Moore.
And they're going to be doing a Europe tour next month, which I plan to go. I'll be going to Brussels in March. So I'll be watching 2 of his shows.
Thurston Moore, I got to check that out.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Anyway, thank you so much.
Excellent. Any other questions? From anyone? To the lovely Silverada, one of my 5 friends in life that actually have a nickname, Silverada. Anyone else? No?
How about, what kind of music you play, Jeri?
He almost called you your name. He almost called you the nickname.
Yeah, you can call me that. Singer-songwriter, folky singer-songwriter, little pop. When I was writing, that was quite a few years ago. So I've got music on Spotify. You can take a listen. It's from a previous part of my life when I lived in New York.
All right.
Excellent. She's amazing. One of my favorite artists, without a doubt. I still listen to your music. I really do. So, a lot of things moved around in my head during this conversation. And I know you. I've spoken to you many times. I'd speak to you. But there's always that 1 or 2 nuggets that come out to go, and make you think a little bit more. So thank you for that. And thank you for that space that you provided in between that question, which messed with me a little bit. And those are the kind of things like we pay attention to, right? If we can pay attention to that, it's so much better. I think it's amazing.
And that's the practice.
Right.
Those are the practices of stopping and pausing in our workday to actually feel our body, notice where we're at.
Exactly. So I think it's great. I want to thank you for being here. I always love seeing you. You have such a great light. Please tell your parents and your husband that I send my love to all of them, and your young, beautiful little cupcake of a child. Yeah. And everyone on the Daily Huddle, thank you so much for being here. As always, we end the call with our tenets, and you know what they are: to love, to laugh out loud, to stress less, eat mostly plant-based if you can, get at least 7 hours of sleep, just sleep better, be in that place where you can arrive more regenerated. And of course, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Please check yourself. This has been the Daily Huddle. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for showing up. Jeri, love, light, and peace as always. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks
Thank
for
you so
having me.
much.
It's so nice to chat.
Thank you so much. Have a spectacular day, everyone.
Thank you all. It was very inspiring.
Thank you.